Jamba. A lot of people actually thought you're from the Goma Belt. Yeah. But even your mannerism got to your Copa. How come you?
Yeah, Shairi Marike Sana for that 11 years.
Wow.
11 years, you know. So I think I'm more corporate than Lusaka. I remember we were having a rehearsal in the studio, and it was very hot. It was very hot in October, you know. And I said, guys, let's take off our shirts. Are you not feeling hot? And we took off our shirts, and you know, we're just singing. Shirtless boys, and I posted that on my Facebook. We continued rehearsing. About 2 hours later, we were viral. I received a call from Madam Mulenga Kapwepwe. You know, she told me, "Hi, my name is Mulenga Kapwepwe. I've seen what you're doing on social media. I felt like crying, and I think you could be the next Piquet Shala."
I have close to 23 credit rolls. That is a very high film currency. You're dealing with casting agencies. 23 credit rolls is like, that's now they know that you're an A-list actor. Even when it comes to the rate cards, you're able to negotiate because now they know you have range.
Maybe Nigeria should take me home. All the years I've done, I've not received nothing. No. Hey,
we need to start certifying actors. I mean, look, you can't fight grace, right? If someone came 2 years ago and by the grace of God, they've blown up, it is a good thing. But you cannot take away the fact that we've been here, putting in the work, putting in the time. So that is something that needs to be professionally done. The industry here is very small. So it's very likely that even when I get on a set, we'll definitely know each other. They were like, oh, okay. Do you have a passport? I had my passport, I carried it. I just put it out of my mouth, like, it's here. They laughed. They were like, you're so prepared. I said, I am. I've been waiting for something like this. To cut the long story short, they didn't pick me.
We're going to talk about divorce. Uncle Frank, as of today, what are the divorce rates in Zambia?
The major problem is ichalo chilipa speed. Kale ichalo chali slow. Nangfeli bisexy yota ile bomba sana uko ma propera shaft ifokine. Vale lungisha. Kwali aba kulungisha. Nombe fine chili fast ichalo. Takuli kupembela umunobe.
Abantu barabamayo bagenda n'amasayi so time alaisa opwe kumulumendo ushayishwana nguchimo kumulumendo erwafu mafyo mwine ku skulu alefo mwana kashwa kwikala nago without knowing it uyu mukashana agenda n'abashikuru bantu abakote yonsa ma types erka mwashwa ababa kalamba kwati abena flank mutule badishwe nchito ya suna ka umali cyo gutando bino ensuna mayando ba flank bali akalumendo ko twale kumbwa bonse ile twali jenzi nomba pana bakotaka
Ndi quite wine. We don't push a market.
Ile bali akalumendo natika nakalumsha kanela netsaka umekanya kuisa nomba pana bakotaka.
I'm even better now. I'm like a good wine. One of the most important thing, the communication.
Yeah.
Munobengalu fianya kwa bafeka simple way de feka maka just one. It's called sorry.
Timely news from Zambia and around the world. Coming up tonight, we bring you the stories making headlines, the developments shaping our communities, and the voices behind the issues that matter the most. Whether you're watching us on Topstar, channel 114, streaming live on Facebook, BMTV channel 114, or following us on YouTube as BMTV Zambia, streaming on www.bmtvzambia.com. Thank you for joining us. Let's take a look at the headlines tonight. 4 suspects arrested over Chawama political violence. Mississippi residents cry out over rising daylight and night attacks. ACC arrests 5 more fishery officials in the 300 million kwacha corruption scandal. And in international news, manhunt underway in South Africa after 12 killed in mass killing, I beg your pardon. And in sports, Somalis shocked by damaging decision to bar World Cup referee Omar Otten. To present the news in details, my name is Tamani Nkata. The Zambia Police Service has apprehended 4 suspects linked to the political violence that occurred in the John Howard area of Chawama on June 5th, 2026. Police spokesperson Godfrey Chilawi identified the suspects as Ricky Chambawilo, 43, Thomas Mvula, 41, Peter Mwaba, 42, and Rickson Piri, 46, all residents of Lusaka. According to the police, the 4 were on the wanted list in connection with offences including aggravated robbery, malicious damage to property, assault, and unlawful wounding arising from violence. More details from the following clip.
The Zambia Police Service wishes to confirm the apprehension of 4 suspects in connection with the recent violence that occurred in Chawama compound, Lusaka. The suspects have been identified as Ricky Chambawiro, 43, Thomas Mvula, 41, Peter Mwaba, 42, and Rickson Piri, aged 46. All 4 suspects are residents of Lusaka and were on the police wanted list in connection with the political violence that occurred in John Howard area of Chawama on June 5, 2026. The suspects are wanted in connection with offences including aggravated robbery, malicious damage to property, assault, and unlawful wounding. Brief facts of the matter are that the suspects were allegedly part of a group involved in the political violence in Chawama. The suspects were apprehended at Protea Hotel in Chipata on June 9, 2026, among a group of individuals who had gathered outside the hotel. The 4 suspects remain in police custody and are waiting.
Residents of Mississippi Compound in Lusaka are raising concern over what they describe as a surge in criminal activities, with attacks occurring both during the day and at night. Community members say they are living in fear as suspected criminals continue targeting innocent residents. They are now calling on law enforcement agencies and government authorities to strengthen security measures in the area. Our reporter, Sontra Morris Sinkala, brings us details in the following report.
Parents in Mississippi Compound have appealed to government to consider expanding the school feeding program to more schools in the area, arguing that hunger remains one of the major factors contributing to learner absenteeism and school dropouts. The parents say although the free education policy has enabled many children to access education, the lack of adequate meals at schools has left some learners vulnerable to engaging in illicit activities in searching of survival. They further expressed concerns over the growing number of school-going girls reportedly becoming pregnant, attributing the trend to economic hardship that forced some learners into risky behaviors.
Vambopula mamimba ini sikuti ni free education ati kamba mkamba tikuli free education free education iliko but kuli njala kuli economy ndrama kulipa free education emukamba bakamba free education iliko but free education is still what vindu kupa kome vienda vakuja bakamba tibanalima but mitengo sibulera pasi panyumba tichoma na manjala bana bengane kopula mamimba.
However, views among residents remain divided, with some attributing teenage pregnancies to peer pressure and negative influence from friends.
Peer pressure, due to peer pressure and due to group influence, my phones, due to my phones, matamba bana social media, matamba bindivosia na sia. Maybe as a parent, bana kambida government inashita introduce my phones to my students. Because that mwana instead of watching study, vamena funi go study pa phone, and through pa phone pa media, ambotamba ma pornography, ambotamba bindivosia na sia. As a result, my india mwana imafuna chamena ona, ndi chamena shite practice. ujamwana amachita practice chamene aona na vintu vamene achita ujamwana akachiona throughout ujamwana amafuna achichite practice.
While others believe spiritual factors are contributing to the situation.
Because life is spiritual. So funga pe kwa pempia kumangacha chimzimu chamechimangena kuli vajavana then panyumba ngati by spirit of poverty ndiye marengesa kuti na vevana bamba kuchoka mwamini mwezi makali. So betinga kambe chata Zambia and we need to pray.
Parents have since urged government and stakeholders to strengthen intervention aimed at keeping children in school. Reporting for BMTV News, this is Sontwa.
The Anti-Corruption Commission has arrested 5 additional officials for the Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock and slapped fresh corruption-related charges against 3 others in an ongoing investigation involving the alleged misappropriation of more than 300 million kwacha under the Sustainable Livestock Infrastructure Management Project, SLIMP. According to the ACC, the arrests and additional charges stem from investigations into the alleged abuse and diversion of part of the $10 million project fund that was meant to support livestock infrastructure development across the country. Among those facing fresh charges are Accountant Emmanuel Chilala, Senior Livestock Production Officer Akim Mwalulino, and Principal Livestock Research Officer Henry Sichone, who were previously arrested in the same matter. The trio now faces additional counts of corruption, acquisition of public property, false accounting, and abuse of authority of office involving millions of kwacha. Newly arrested suspects include Chief Accountant Philip Kambole Sikazwe, SLIMP Project Coordinator Andrew Chongwe, Principal Accountant Clara Nkandu Muonga, Accountant Emmanuel Mutale, and Accountant Felix Sivalua. The accused persons are alleged to have corruptly acquired project funds, facilitated forced retirements of interest, abused their authority, and possessed properties suspected to be proceeds of crime. In other news, concerned parents in Mississippi compound have called on government to increase the provision of school feeding programs, saying this will help reduce learner dropouts, particularly among young girls. The parents say despite the implementation of the free education policy, many pupils continue to face challenges that expose them to illicit activities, while some school-going girls are falling pregnant due to hunger and economic hardships. Sontamori Sinkala was in Mississippi with this report.
Residents of Mississippi compound have expressed deep concern over increasing cases of criminal attacks that are reportedly taking place both during the day and at night. The residents say the situation has become alarming, with criminals allegedly targeting people on their way to work, school, markets, and even those returning to their homes in the evening. Residents of Mississippi compound are hoping for swift intervention from authorities, saying improved security will help restore peace and confidence within the community.
Because majanki yanasala muri Bmtv yanasira but setuwa ti majanki ndiye ya balana kwenzeni majanki ndiye ya balana pacha kutabezo yo pacha panikapera mukaya bezo kata bamenyi manje apa bapa ya muntu muzuba tiyanga na kuno kwa misi simulai murodi apa pa big five pa vuta bakawalala bamenye wanaitina wazafunga tebe amba kumenyewa 20 hours sunga yeke kuno 21 mposa 05 sunga choke kuno bakawala bapaka majanki bamewaka matu majanki yanasira si yanasira yaliko ndepe meya bala na kuno mwamele tilili muno bachije mubauze baba.
Reporting for BMTV News, this is Sontwa.
The government of Zambia is participating in the 19th session of the Conference of States Parties to the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities at the United Nations headquarters in New York. The conference, held under the theme The Convention at 20, celebrating and consolidating achievements and shaping the next phase of implementation in a changing world, has brought together member states and stakeholders to discuss progress in promoting the rights and inclusion of persons with disabilities. The Zambian delegation is led by Maximilian Walia and includes Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities Director General Faxon Musukwa, officials from Zambia's permanent mission to the United States, and other government representatives. During the conference, Zambia is expected to deliver its national statement and engage with international partners on strengthening disability inclusion, empowerment, and accessibility. The meeting also marks the 20th anniversary of the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities and provides a platform for countries to share experiences and address emerging challenges affecting persons with disabilities worldwide. We take our first commercial break, and when we return, international news. Please do stay with us.
You need to stop humiliating me. You are the same people who complain when men start looking at other women.
Apart from eating, slaying, and makeup, can you even cook? Sleep with her? Yes. It's just women and their assumptions.
Charikari Seni. Iwe. What's the problem?
Nasia soap on bath.
What is it that you're holding in your hands if it is not soap?
On, please. What is this?
You don't wear them.
But those are still mine.
Not anymore. I'm going to bend them.
Welcome back, and now international news. A manhunt is underway in South Africa after a group of 10 armed men opened fire, killing 12 people at an informal settlement in Johannesburg late Tuesday. Police said the shooters were dropped at the site in a minibus and moved through the area, opening fire on residents at multiple locations before fleeing in the same vehicle. As investigators work to establish the motive for the attack, Gauteng Province Top Cop visited this latest scene of a deadly mass shooting in East Rand region. Africa News has more insight.
A massive manhunt is underway in South Africa after a group of 10 armed men opened fire, killing 12 people at an informal settlement in Johannesburg late on Tuesday. As investigators work to establish the motive for the attack, Gauteng Province's Top Cop visited this latest scene of a deadly mass shooting in the East Rand region.
I would say it is still early to can confirm the issues of illegal mining, but of course we cannot overrule that because I've seen some of the victims. There were, I think, one or two, if I'm not mistaken, is 2 or 3, some of the victims where they were lying. It looks like it's this a place of the processing center for illegal mining, so one could not overrule that. But as I've indicated earlier, that we were here 3 weeks back through the intelligence-led operation where we got over 1,000, live ammunitions of the AK-47. And we also managed to get 3 pistol, 3 suspects. Added to that, I think we had not less than 6 illegal immigrants, which we have effected arrest.
Jumper's informal settlement is located near several known illegal mining sites. At least 12 people were injured in the shooting that has left residents in shock and has once again raised concerns about gun violence.
In another international story, the U.S. says it has carried out a series of strikes on Iranian military and surveillance sites in response to the downing of an American helicopter in the Gulf. Air defense systems, ground control stations, and radar sites were targeted near the Strait of Hormuz, the U.S. Military Central Command, CENTCOM, said. In response, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps said it launched strikes on 21 targets at U.S. bases in the region, one in Bahrain and the other in Jordan, while Kuwait's army said it was also intercepting an attack. The U.S. has described its strikes as a proportional response for the Apache helicopter downing on Monday, while the IRGC described the attacks as vicious. The BBC has more details.
This is the most serious escalation of hostilities between Washington and Tehran since the ceasefire was agreed 2 months ago. The apparent downing of a US Army helicopter, followed by US strikes on Iranian military targets, marks a significant deterioration in relations and has raised concerns that the truce could unravel. US Central Command said its forces carried out self-defense strikes against Iran under the direction of the Commander-in-Chief, Donald Trump, and that the operation was a proportional response to recent attacks on US forces and international commercial ships transiting regional waters. Earlier, Mr. Trump said the United States must, of necessity, respond to the downing of the Army helicopter, although some US officials have said it's not clear whether the aircraft was deliberately attacked. 2 US pilots were rescued by an American Sea drone and are said by officials to be in a stable condition. The US says it struck Iranian air defense, ground control stations and surveillance radar sites near the Strait of Hormuz. In response, Iran's Revolutionary Guard said it had attacked American bases with drones, including the US Fifth Fleet in Bahrain. Iranian state media said the country's armed forces were threatening massive and wider attacks across the region if the US continued what it called its aggression against the Islamic Republic. Both sides insist they want diplomacy to prevail, but the ceasefire remains on a knife edge. Peter Bowes, BBC News.
We take our second commercial break. Sports news after this.
A lot of people actually thought you're from the Copper Belt, but even your mannerism got you a copper. How come you?
Shairi narikere sana for that time. 11 years.
Wow.
11 years, you know. So I think I'm more copper than Lusaka. I remember we were having a rehearsal in the studio, and it was very hot. It was very hot in October, you know. And I said, guys, let's take off our shirts. Are you not feeling hot? And we took off our shirts and we're just singing. Shirtless boys. And I posted that on my Facebook. We continued rehearsing. But 2 hours later, we were viral. I received a call from Madam Mulenga Kapwepwe. You know, she told me, hi, my name is Mulenga Kapwepwe. I've seen what you're doing on social media. I felt like crying. And I think you could be the next Piquet Shala.
I have close to 23 credit rolls. That is a very high film currency. You're dealing with casting agencies. 23 credit rolls is like, that's now they know that you're an A-list actor. Even when it comes to the rate cards, you're able to negotiate because now they know you have range.
Maybe Nigeria should take me home. All the years I've done, I've not received nothing. No. Hey,
we need to start certifying actors. I mean, look, you can't fight grace, right? If someone came 2 years ago and by the grace of God, they've blown up, it is a good thing. But you cannot take away the fact that we've been here, putting in the work, putting in the time. So that is something that needs to be professionally done. The industry here is very small. So it's very likely that even when I get on a set, we'll definitely know each other. They were like, oh, okay. Do you have a passport? I had my passport. I carried it. I just put it out of my mouth. Like, it's here. They laughed. They were like, you're so prepared. I said, I am. I've been waiting for something like this To cut the long story short, they didn't pick me.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Bmtv main news at 18 hours. And now for sports news. A decision by U.S. customs officials last week to deny entry to Somali referee Omar Attan is being met with blowback from fans and officials alike. Attan, who was named Africa's best coach last year, was set to become the first Somali to officiate a World Cup. Attan said it was the biggest dream of his life. The 34-year-old is one of Africa's top referees and was named the continent's best male referee in 2025. Africa News has more insight.
The decision by U.S. customs officials last week to deny entry to Somali football referee Omar Attan is being met with blowback from fans and officials alike. Attan was set to become the first Somali to officiate a World Cup. He said it was the biggest dream of his life. The denial has affected Omar Attan, a referee who earned the right to officiate at the highest levels of world football and truly deserved that opportunity. His refusal will impact us because we wanted him to continue his work for which he toiled so hard. It will affect not only the football community, but Somalis at large. I think that they have a problem with my country, Attan told the New York Times. It's a feeling shared by residents of Somalia's capital, Mogadishu. I'm very sorry for what happened to Omar, who became the best referee in Africa in 2025-26. For him to be turned back is very disappointing, and we're extremely sorry for that. This is very damaging in every sense. This can damage his ambitions, it can hurt or damage Somalis, it can hurt all Somali youth, and it can also damage our government, the African community, and FIFA. Everyone really feels that this is strange. The Somali Sports Ministry said on Tuesday that its embassy in the US is trying to resolve the problem in time for Attan to still make the World Cup.
In more sports news, in the bustling market of Kibera in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi, second-hand football shirts are among the most coveted items. With the FIFA World Cup about to start, the markets boast a varied collection of jerseys from the world's soccer teams, bringing one Italian collector back to stores time and again. An estimated 1 million people live there, packed into an area no bigger than 350 football fields, marking it Africa's largest informal settlement. For Italian football enthusiast Antonio Massari, it's a place he keeps coming back to, partly thanks to the treasure trove of football shifts on sale in its markets. Massari, who's from Milan, spends part of his time in Kibera volunteering as English teacher at a local school. More details from the following report.
Africa's largest informal settlement, Kibera, on the outskirts of the Kenyan capital, Nairobi. An estimated 1 million people live here, packed into an area no bigger than 350 football fields. Italian football enthusiast and English teacher Antonio Massari keeps coming back here thanks to the treasure trove of football shirts on sale in its markets.
Local markets in Africa could be chaotic, messy and even muddy sometimes, but I think they're amazing because you could potentially find absolutely anything there. And for football shirts, in the past I managed to find so many good ones, from match-worn shirts, vintage ones, rare ones. So, you know, it's very good for my own collection because prices will range between $2 and $10, which is very, very cheap. But also when I want to resell some of those shirts in Europe, like using online markets, you can make a very good profit between $50 to $100 per shirt, which I think is pretty good.
Kenya's second-hand clothing market is enormous, with Kibera stores part of a global flow of discarded garments. This shopkeeper has a large number of both old and new football shirts on display.
Football jersey, they have second hands and have new ones, branded. So second hand, the quality are good compared with the new ones. So the price of second hand and new ones, they differ. Mostly second hand, the prices are too high compared to the new ones, because when you see the second hands, the printed things, they are original. The quality of second hand is good, so the price for second hand is more higher than new ones.
About 180,000 tons of unsorted used garments are imported into the country each year. But while valuable items do often emerge, finding them is a question of luck.
When a luxury brand comes into the market, what we use is just the informal negotiations. We have sharp recognition of items in the market. The traders themselves, through their experience of maybe many years working in the market, they have sharp recognition of such items. So when one recognizes that this is a brand, through informal negotiations, they are able to sell. We do not have a formal way of selling those items, because even in our local market, we do not have people who will be empowered to be buying those brands.
And with excitement at a fever pitch as the FIFA World Cup gets going, Onyango proudly displays his football shirt collection.
As we end tonight's news, we take a recap on the stories that made headlines. 4 suspects arrested over Chawama political violence. Mississippi residents cry out over rising daylight and night attacks. ACC arrests 5 more fishery officials in the 300 million kwacha corruption scandal. And in international news, manhunt underway in South Africa after 12 killed in mass shooting. While in sports, Somalis shocked by damaging US decision to bar World Cup referee Omar Atten. And that brings us to the end of tonight's BMTV News at 18 hours. Thank you for choosing BMTV as your source of news and information this evening. We trust and appreciate your company. All right, a special thanks goes out to a dedicated team of reporters, Sontra Morris Sinkala and Ruth Musakawan, to our production and technical staff, Aldrich Kampamba and Douglas Banda, whose work behind the scenes make this broadcast possible every single day. And of course, our social media handler, Innocent Mula. This has been Tamani Nkata. Good evening. Keep watching BMTV.